All right, so on this next one, can't get this to work. There we go. All right, on this next one, what's gonna happen is you're going to take these and they have to have the same denominator in order to add them together. So for instance, on this one, you're gonna multiply by 2 in the top, 2 in the bottom. So this will be 2/4. 2/4 plus 1/4 is going to give me 3/4. And so this would be x to the 3/4. Okay, so same principle applies, just like what we did on the last one. For this fraction, for these, this is a power raised to a power. So you're going to multiply 2/5 times 3/2. So 2 times 3 is going to give me 6. 5 times 2 is going to give me 10. I can simplify this and that'll give me 3/5. So this will be y to the 3/5. On the next one, I will use the subtraction rule. So this will have the same denominator. I'm going to multiply by 2. So this will give me 4/6 in the top and 1/6 in the bottom. So when I subtract 4 minus 1, that'll give me 3. So 3 divided by 6 is going to give me 1/2. Right? Now this is a power raised to a power. So go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own. All right, so you're going to multiply the top and then you're going to multiply the bottom too. So 4/5 times 3/7 would give me 12/35. This times this would give me 2/5 times 3/7, which is going to give me 6/35. So when I take these two, I can subtract them. So 12 minus 6 is going to give me 6. So that's going to give me x to the 6 divided by 35. Okay, so I know that was a lot, so make sure that you pause that video and write it down. All right. So now let's revisit an additional exponent rules. Okay, so again, same thing is happening from the last time. If I have a negative exponent, I'm going to switch it to the top. So this I could rewrite it as a to the 1/2 times a to the 3rd. And then now I can add those two, but they have to have the same denominator. So that means I'm going to have multiply this by 2 in the top and 2 in the bottom. So that would be 6/2. So 1/2 plus 6/2 is 7/2. Over here, they have the same denominator and I'm going to subtract. So 3 minus 8 is -5. Well, -5 divided by 5 is just going to give me -1. So I could rewrite this as 1/c. On this one, we've got a negative exponent. That's going to move to the bottom, as well as we've got a 2 to the 0. That'll just be 1. And I'm going to move this to the bottom. So that's going to give me 1/2 to the b. Remember, anything raised to the 0 power is 1. So this will all cancel. It doesn't matter what's inside. It's going to be 1. Okay. So you can use any fraction as an exponent. Okay. So really quick, if I have 1/3 raised to the 2nd power, that's going to give me 5 to the 2/3. Over here, if I have 2 raised to the 1/3 power, that's going to give me 5 to the 2/3. They're the same thing. Now, how can we write this using radicals? Remember, the denominator is going to be what goes in my little cubby hole, and my numerator is going to be my exponent. So I could write it like this, or I could write it like that. Okay. So thinking back to our activating strategy, we saw that 5 to the 2/3 equals 5 to the 2nd raised to the 1/3 equals 5 to the 1/3 raised to the 2nd. Using this thinking, we're going to rewrite the following two numbers in 2 equivalent ways. So I got 4 raised to the 3/2, or we could write this as 4 to the 1/2 raised to the 3rd, or we could say 4 to the 3rds raised to the 1/2. You can do the same thing for this one.
Good morning, and good morning.
I'll pause this. All right, and the last way you can do this is you're going to take 3, raise it to the 4th power, and raise that to the 1/5 power. Okay. Again, you can write these in radical notation or using exponents. So go ahead and take a moment, pause the video, try these 3. All right, so check in your work. If I wrote this as a radical notation, I'm going to say the cubic root of 2 to the 2nd power. For this one, I'm going to write it using exponents. So this will be 8 raised to the 1/3 raised to the 2nd, which is going to be the same thing as 8 to the 2/3. And then what is the value of the 4th root of 9 to the 2nd power? So you could go in and you could say the 4th root of 81. Well, I don't know that off the top of my head. You could also type into your calculator 9 to the 2 divided by 4. Well, I know I can simplify this to 1/2. So what's 9 to the 1/2 power? Well, that's 3, because we learned earlier today that the square root of 9 is 3. All right, so select all the possible ways we can express the number 16 using exponents or roots from the list below. So anything that would equal 16. Well, 4 to the 2nd power is 16. This one, I have 12 divided by 3, which is going to simplify down to 4. Well, what's 2 to the 4th power? That's 16. Over here, I've got 16 raised to the 1/3 power raised to the 3rd power, which means that that's going to be 16 to the 1st. That's also 16. Okay, this one, I've got 4 to the 8th power. We're taking the 4th root. I'm going to rewrite this as a fraction. So 4 to the 8 divided by 4, which is going to give me 4 to the 2nd, which is the same thing as 16. And over here, this one's going to be 4 to the 9/3. That can be simplified to 4 to the 3rd. That's not 16. Over here, if I simplify this one, I would get 2 to the 20 divided by 5, which is the same thing as 2 to the 4th, which we learned earlier is the same thing as 16. Okay. All right, so here's some practice. You're just going to do this first one. Does make it less complicated. You aren't going to turn this in, but make sure that you have it in your notebook. So you're going to do just part 1. Okay, so tell your friends, just part 1, and you're not turning this in. Okay, you're just going to hang on to it. Okay, if you would like some extra practice, you can go ahead and do partner A and partner B, but you do not have to. Okay. And don't worry about this last part. Okay. All right. So again, today is just really kind of focused on reviewing those exponent rules and just making sure that you're clear on that so that we can move on to the lesson for tomorrow. All right.